Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone in the franchise world. My name is Paul Segreto, and this is Franchise Today. We're just a few days ahead of the Labor Day weekend. It is Wednesday, August 31st. And joining me, as always, is my co-host from Atlanta, Georgia, Stan Friedman.
Thank you, Paul. And one day away from my departure to my northern pilgrimage for Labor Day weekend to Buffalo, New York for the 15th annual National Buffalo Wing Festival.
Well, you know, Stan, being you bring up the Buffalo Wing Festival, and this has nothing to do with franchising, but as many of our loyal listeners know, we talk about a segment you just can't make this up. And I saw something the other day that had to do with hot sauce, and it was a British blogger. That's a video blogger, for those of you that don't know what a blogger is, that submersed himself in 1,250 bottles of hot sauce, including eating a pepper, and got completely under the liquid line, jumped out immediately with 3 hours later what appeared to be hot sauce burns all over his body. I mean, you just can't make that up.
I don't know, Paul, but I've seen some pretty ugly things done with hot sauce at the U.S. Competitive Wing Eating Championships. I've seen some wild things done with blue cheese and ranch dressing when people bob for wings in a tub of blue cheese, but I don't think any of that's going to cause any second or third degree burns that we'd have to worry about, would they?
No, I don't think so, but I laughed when I saw this because it was riding our segment on You Just Can't Make This Stuff Up.
Yep.
About Kentucky Fried Chicken's, sunscreen that smells like fried chicken. So it's just some crazy stuff. So what do we have in the front of the house today, Stan?
Well, some more conventional things than those, Paul. Happy to report. I want to just congratulate Mike Bidwell on a great article in the current issue of Franchising World, and an article that appears in the Waco Tribune Herald. You know, it talks about no matter the franchise accomplishing success always comes back to the idea of franchise satisfaction at the speed of growth matching a franchisee's expectations and the proper management of those expectations. And Mike Bidwell breaks it down further in that article with 3 important lessons that he shares from 30 years in franchising. And he talks about expectation management, and sometimes you're primarily responsible, whoever you are, for your own success, and sometimes all you have to do is show up and allow someone to hold you accountable. Great article, great insights, an incredibly great franchise leader. And so if you've not read that article yet, pick up your copy of the Franchising World and give it a look. There's always a nugget or two that Mike Bidwell will share with you that will be one of those blinding flashes of the obvious.
And of course,
also,
for our emerging brand listeners that might not know who Mr. Bidwell is, Mike is the CEO of the Dwyer Group. So you understand the capacity from which he is speaking.
And thank you for calling that out, because I just take for granted that anyone who's been in franchising for 20 minutes has figured out who he is. But you're right, Paul. It's a good thing for us to not be assumptive. We've got people who listen to us for the first time, just getting into the business, who may or may not know who some of these icons are. He's a guy you can listen to and learn, so have a look at that and give it a read. I also wanted to talk about the At Our Franchise Tour, and as the IFA Insider reports, they made a stop in Chicago, and industry leaders were at a dinner hosted by Rosati's with representatives of the Illinois Restaurant Association, Firehouse Subs, McDonald's, Dunkin', and others, and Robert Crisante in attendance as well. So the At Our Franchise Tour is part of that, helping the world understand what franchising is all about beyond the business side of the business, but the human side of franchising, and stories that are being told and shared by successful franchisees who make a difference in the lives of the people that they serve, both their employees and their customers, and putting these stories out, trying to combat some of the negativity that we are all struggling with as labor unions and government try to redefine what franchising is. We're counterbalancing that, and the At Our Franchise tour and website is part of that pushback. We'll be talking in greater depth about that, Paul, starting a couple weeks, I guess, with our upcoming special issue of Franchise Today featuring Aziz Hashim, and you'll be sharing more about that on Facebook and social media next week, won't you?
Absolutely. We'll be promoting it all week, and I believe that it'll be definitely worthwhile for anybody that's even considering franchising, and certainly all of us within franchising. And, of course, that will precede all the events coming up in Washington, D.C. around the Franchise Action Network. So look for that across all social media starting Tuesday, September 6th.
And if you're not yet registered for the Franchise Action Network, you're running out of time, but you're not running out of need to do so. This year more than ever, it's so important that you and franchisees both make the pilgrimage to Capitol Hill, have your voices heard, and let's get up on the Hill and make sure our legislators know the impact in the local communities that are served by your franchisees, that it's important that your legislators understand that some of these regulations and legislative pieces that are being pushed around the country by labor unions and special interests are not in the best interest of we in franchising. And to get that voice heard directly, nobody better than your franchisees to communicate it. So please make that trip to Capitol Hill, and there will be additional programming for your franchisees while there that will make the investment of their time extremely worth it in terms of networking with other franchisees, taking back some nuggets of intellectual capital to help them run their businesses when they get back home. More than ever, this year is a paramount year to attend the Franchise Action Network. Also upcoming, Paul, there are hundreds of reasons why franchisors should attend Franchise Expo West, October 6th through 8th in Denver. I'm happy to be teaching the A to Z's of buying a franchise for MFV at that program, and I know that you and Lee Plave, Teresa Huska, have a portion of the program as well on social media. Isn't that right?
That's correct. We'll be presenting on Friday morning in one of the symposia. I'm not even sure where it's at in the expo hall because this is a new event,
brand new venue
for us. Right. But yeah, Friday morning from 9 to 12:30, we'll be talking about data and social media within franchising. So if you're part of a franchise organization and you're worried about all the cybersecurity issues that are out there, both from you yourself as a franchisor and your franchisees, this is really a good event, a good presentation for you to learn. So it is for franchisors. But thanks for mentioning that, Sam.
And I'll be teaching the A to Z's of buying a franchise with Rebecca Monet, a program that FRM Solutions is proud to sponsor and just help aspiring franchisees learn some of the ropes in terms of how to make the most out of their time on the convention center floor in the exhibit hall by learning some of the things from the treetops that are important for them to consider before they get themselves too deep into the bark of the tree with a brand that might or might not be the best thing for them to consider. So A to Z's of buying a franchise will be taught on Saturday, and I'm happy to be involved in participating in that at Franchise Expo West. A couple quick other thoughts that I wanted to hit with at the front of the house, Paul, as we tend to do weekly, is we try to call out the Veteran of the Week. IFA's Vet Fran program, celebrating 25th anniversary this year, is recognizing franchises owned by veterans. And this week's focus is on Eric W. Frederick II of First Light Home Care in St. Simons Island, Georgia, served in the U.S. Air Force for 6 years and said that the military has given him all the tools that he needs and will do the same for you to help set yourself up for success as a successful franchise owner. Hats off to another in the domain of successful franchisees that are former veterans Eric W. Frederick of St. Simon's Island, Georgia. The mouth is just not moving. Got to be that Jimmy John's. I don't know. Last thing in the front of the house today, Paul. I'm still staring at that other half of the sandwich right now. So, just wanted to congratulate Great Clips franchisees Brian and Christy Zopchik for being the 4,000th Great Clip franchisee opened in Flat Rock, Michigan. They did a lot of research on different brands. They picked Great Clips based on its being a growing brand, said Brian, who now owns and operates 4 salons with his wife. 4,000 units. Something that I think our guest today can look ahead and hope for. But we'll talk about that in just a minute, won't we?
Yes, we will. And our guest today is Lenny Verkhoglaz. He moved to the United States from Russia, determined to find the American dream. He attended college, had a very successful career early on as an IT provider for Fortune 500 companies. He realized that he had the skills and desire to operate his own business. And in 2004, he opened a home health care company, Executive Care, and started franchising in 2013. Lenny, welcome to Franchise Today.
Thank you so much.
You know, a lot that can be said of really going after your dream, and certainly your dream as an entrepreneur. But what we'd like to start out with is learning a little bit more about you. And I know there's an interesting story that actually led to the founding and the launch of Executive Care. So why don't you take us back to when you were younger and thinking about the American dream and how Executive Care got started.
Absolutely. Well, I'm blessed to live in the United States. Never regretted a single day. We love the country and the opportunity it provided us with. So my wife and I were technically born in Ukraine, which was part of Soviet Union at the time. And so we both of us were in the IT industry working for United Healthcare. And one day, it was actually a Valentine's Day, 2003, we get a phone call from our local temple saying that an elderly congregant is sick and needs help. Maybe we could come down and visit her and maybe bring some food, look at what she needs. And when we got there, we saw that she was all alone, bedridden. Her daughter went on vacation and basically left her mother alone. She needed a lot of help. So my wife, being all heart, she said, look, Lenny, we probably going to have to cancel our plans for tonight. Let's just help this lady out. Her name was Helen. And she said, I'm staying with her. And so I said, you know what, I'm staying with you too. So I brought in an arrow bed, and both of us stayed there that night. And then she decided to stay another day, then another day, then another day. And this is how the idea was born, that we need to provide quality care to seniors. And a year later, 2004, approximately, we decided to form Executive Care, and we never looked back. And we built that company from one client at a time, and today, 12, 13 years later, we are one of the largest home care providers in northern New Jersey. And then in 2013, we sparked an idea that, you know what, I think we need to expand our brand. And the quickest way and the best way of expanding our brand would be to go into franchising. And here we are, a few years later. We are rapidly expanding. We're in 6 states right now, and we have a few more candidates that are ready to sign, expanding us to other states as well. So the decision to franchise couldn't be better. We're very proud of our company, of the people that work with and people that work for us. And it's a dynamic effort that we're doing, and very, very happy with it.
So, Lenny, great to talk with you again. As we were talking just briefly before we went live today. I had the great pleasure of meeting you a couple of years ago at a franchising event and having lunch with your wife and yourself and somebody from your ops team, maybe even a partner. And I remember some of the conversation we had then, and I think about this space that you're in and how it appears, anyway, to be extremely, extremely competitive space. You know, I think that we, as we ride around at retail anyway, and we look and see the things that we see as consumers, we see, 4 or 5 banks sometimes on the same street corner and 4 or 5 ice cream shops on the same street corners or dessert treateries. We don't see a lot of your kind of business at retail, at storefronts, so maybe we're not as aware of it. But when we look at the directory of brands that are in the elder care and senior care and healthcare space, seems like an abundance. What is it? There's got to be things that are unique to your value proposition that you do that carves out a niche that's different than others. Tell us a little bit about that from the consumer perspective and the value proposition that you bring that is uniquely in your business that others might not do the way you do.
Sure. Well, I have to say that there are good providers and there are bad providers of service. We consider ourselves good providers of service. We are very attentive to client needs. No detail is overlooked, and that's important in our business. And as you said, there's so many competitors out there. In the township where our franchising office is located, and we're still operating our own home care company, corporate location, there are 20 or 25 other home care providers in the same town. There's one around every corner here. But there's so much business out there that there is no need to basically squabble over clients because there's so many people turning into baby boomers and then into the age where they need services. So our value proposition is that we are not only providing home health care, like companionship and homemaking, we're also providing personal care and skilled care. A lot of our clients don't get better, so that's the demographic of our clientele. They degrade, they get worse, so we are one-stop shop for them. So when they need companionship, we offer that. When they need personal care, we offer that as well. But then they will deteriorate and need care more than many other agencies or companies can provide. We step in and provide skilled nursing care as well.
So, Lenny, that helps me better understand how the level of service and the things, the great Valentine's story that got you into business is part of your culture. It's just a constant caring and sharing and taking care of those that have become part of your extended family through the services that you provide. How do people, though, find you in the first place? How in a marketplace, when a consumer for services like those that you provide is in need of those services, it's going to be for maybe an aging parent or somebody that's so important to them. And with so many providers, how do you jump out and make someone understand that this is the place that they should be? What is it that establishes the relationship for consumers and helps them discover who you guys really are?
That's a very good question. Think about it. Nobody says one day, wakes up one morning and says, I think I need some home care today. It's an event that occurs because a crisis arises with a parent or a child. Because we don't take care of only seniors. We take care of people that are disabled, whether physically or mentally disabled, people that are after car accidents or they have terminal illnesses. Although seniors is a major customer base, we do take care of other people with other conditions. So when they seek out home care, they would probably call us over the internet, find us on the internet. But most of the people that call over the internet are price shoppers or tire kickers, as they call them. Once they get an understanding what the pricing is, then they go back to local facilities, whether it's a nursing home, assisted or independent living facility, or a hospital, and they ask, who would you recommend? So our marketing approach our way of having people understand who we are is through building relationships in the community with people that are decision makers, are referral sources. It's still an old-fashioned face-to-face, press the flash, introduction, talking to people so they understand what it is that we offer. Internet is there. It's not quite ready for us, or we may not be quite ready for the Internet. Although more and more people are pricing or shopping on the Internet, and we do get a lot more inquiries through the Internet. And it's going to build up. It's going to expand, and I think in about 10 years or so, it's going to probably be 50% of our business.
Oh, and certainly as you're preparing, as you were preparing to enter into franchising and continue to expand via franchising, you're still focused, obviously, on the consumer side. And I know earlier this year you launched an exclusive program of client care management. Can you give us a little bit of insight into that and how that will benefit the consumers moving forward?
So the consumer normally have a lot of needs. With our society, children don't normally, adult children that is, normally don't live with an adult with a parent. And there's always a need, besides home care needs, there's other advocacy needs that an adult elderly parent may develop. So if a child lives out of state and mom or dad needs to visit a physician or find a physician, they may not have a primary care physician, or they may need legal advice, or they need other type of services that are complementary to home care. This is we step in with our staff of care managers that we have on staff, and they provide that extra help. So we provide 360-degree coverage around the client with nursing care, with social workers, with home health aides, and other players in the senior care community. It's a great product that we have a great response from our consumers. They are appreciative of what we're providing them, and it just prolongs the care, prolongs the life, I should say, for the seniors and for the people that have disabilities. And we get better client satisfaction, caregiver satisfaction, family satisfaction, and that's how we differentiate ourselves from the pack.
Lenny, before we get into discussion on the second half of our hour about the franchise opportunity, I just had one question for you going into our break, and that's about Obamacare and the changing landscape of insurance and the impact that all of these changing regulations and legislations have had on your business, and has it changed how you are able to provide business and provide services to your families that place their faith and trust in your services?
Sure. Well, Obamacare has actually two sides of the same coin. So a lot of people understand the health care portion of it, the mandates, healthcare mandates that everyone should have insurance, including our employees, the employer mandate, and we are complying with that regulation. We, as a company, the type of business we're in, we cannot just stop hiring people, or we cannot limit people to have under 30 hours a week, because client needs exceed sometimes 30 hours a week or more. So we continue to hire, and we continue to provide as many hours of work to our employees as we can. So for that fact, then we are offering the coverage to our employees. On the other side of the Obamacare is something called readmission penalties. What that means is that there are 6 diagnoses that CMS, Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, has designated as readmission penalties. So I'll give you an example. One of the diagnoses is diabetes. The second one is COPD, depression, a couple of other ones I just can't recall at this moment. So if a patient 65 and over gets admitted for any of those conditions and then gets readmitted into the hospital within 30 days, the hospital gets penalized. and those are pretty hefty penalties that hospitals are being assessed for. The data that I have from 2014 is that no hospital in the United States made money. They all lost money due to those readmission penalties. So we as a company developed programs and training programs and marketing programs so that we can take those clients on to prevent those readmissions. And the feedback has been remarkable. Hospitals put trust in us to give us those patients and monitor them so that once a sign that a certain red flag goes up, that the patient is showing signs of reoccurrence of a condition that warrants readmission, we would call the physicians, we would call, the caregiver would call the office or call a doctor to prevent those readmissions. So once again, this program has had great success with our local hospitals.
You're listening to Franchise Today. I'm Stan Friedman, along with Paul Segreto, and we're speaking today with Lenny Verkhoglaz. Lenny, I hope I did that halfway correctly.
You did fine.
Founder and CEO of Executive Care. Franchise Today is brought to you by FRM Solutions, offering best-in-class CRM and document management software designed specifically for franchising. Does your CRM do everything that you need it to do to manage communications and relationships with your prospective and existing franchisees? Does your CRM track all emails sent and received by home office teams to prospective and existing franchisees? Does it track text messages too? Are you benefiting from the latest version of your CRM software, or are you still waiting in queue for expensive upgrades to a long outdated system? Maybe it's time to call FRM Solutions. With FRM, you get multiple updates each year, and those updates are free. So you're always operating in the latest, greatest version of the platform. Access to FRM couldn't be easier either, from the cloud or from directly within your Outlook inbox. Struggle no more and get down to earth with practical solutions that require no long-term contracts, no long waits for expensive upgrades, and did I mention you can track all text messages sent and received as well. FRM provides everything you want in a CRM and document management tool. No excuses, just solutions. Take a demo and see for yourself on the web at frmsolutions.com. Franchise Today also brought to you by the Franchise Foundry, with more than 30 years' experience helping emerging brands bring sustainable growth to their franchise concepts. The Franchise Foundry utilizes a hybrid approach that combines coaching with consultation and fosters effective solutions for their clients. You can count on the Franchise Foundry for general business, operational or change management, digital marketing, and of course, for franchise recruitment and development as well. They can assist you too with mergers and acquisitions and invite you to learn more about their client list, their expanding list of clients, and all the verticals in which they work. That's the Franchise Foundry at franchisefoundry.com.
It was Lenny. Stan talks about FRM Solutions, and it's really a tremendous technology platform. And I know that part of your executive care program, is based on an advanced technology management system, which we know is really a cornerstone for a solid franchise organization, and as we refer to, a sustainable franchise organization. Having an IT background obviously gives you a little bit more insight than the typical franchisor. But how important is that technology platform for your franchisees into the future?
It's extremely important. I would not be able to, I don't know how our business would function today without having the tools we have at our disposal. So when we went out a number of years ago looking for solutions to our corporate location, we took our time. I needed to satisfy all my needs from a technical standpoint and from a business standpoint. And we found few vendors that are supplying that platform to us. So we perfected that software. I worked with the vendor hand in hand, having IT background and IT knowledge. And I think today it's working at a precision level. And whatever we used at our corporate location, our franchisees are using today to great success. And I'm happy to say that it's producing the results, the great results. And there's no afterthought. It does what it does. It's making our franchisees profitable, and they don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about it. In addition to that, we as a corporate entity, as a franchisor, we're providing payroll and billing services to our franchisees so that they don't have to think about those two painful items in their business and everyday business. So all they need to do is concentrate on hiring great caregivers and getting clients and providing service.
So that's leading into my next question, Lenny. If we were to describe the profile of what a franchisee should bring, a prospective franchisee should bring to your business, what is the role of the franchisee in operating the business on a day-to-day basis? What kind of skill sets are you looking for, and what kinds of people in your universe of 30 operating already? You've got some history. What are the best skill sets that come along with the best prospective franchisee? If you're rubbing the genie out of the bottle and saying, this is exactly who I'm looking for, tell us a little bit about what that would look like.
I would love to have more of the CEO types, team builders, decision makers, people that can look at a P&L and understand where the business is going. But obviously, that's a wish. We have a great variety of franchisees from different backgrounds, from former restaurant owners to pharmaceutical salespeople to nurses to physicians, dentists, and great people, all of them. But once again, I think team building and management and sales. Sales would be nice as well. But team building and management is the top priority in our model. We also offer owner-operator model and absentee model. So our systems can support absentee managers as well.
So if we were talking first, and I want to break this question down then into two parts. Part one is the owner-operator. What's a day in the life look like for a franchisee in your business? What should they be doing with their time? How do they spend their time?
The owners, there's two wheels to a bicycle, if you will. So there's a lot of moving parts, but the two main wheels of our business is recruiting and sales. So the manager, the owner, we never want our owner to do marketing because they need to look after their business. We want our owner to concentrate on recruiting great caregivers because that's the face of our company. And they should manage the salesperson well because that's the other face of our company. So day-to-day operator would be managing the store, the office, making sure that great service is provided. That's very important as well. And proper management of the sales team and the office team.
So for a business to be able to make passive investment a reality and have passive ownership involved in the business would require professional management, and that costs, which tells me that unit economics, at least presumably, have to be pretty strong for somebody to make an investment in a business like yours and be able to support professional management and still find enough on the bottom line would suggest something to me. Am I barking up the correct tree?
Absolutely. So our unit economics are really good. Our franchisees are doing very well. I'm not sure if I can disclose the numbers, but
we're not attorneys here, so I'm not able to give legal advice on that. But it's the airwaves, and you can say whatever you want as long as you're comfortable with it.
But I'm not going to. But I'm just saying that unit economics are great. We have several absentee owners. One of them is a dentist who's still practicing dentistry, and a physician, and we have a couple more coming up soon. And our business model can support that. Like you said, the manager needs to be a professional manager that has the independence or sanctioned by the owner to make financial decisions as well as management decisions.
So let's talk, Lenny, a little bit about the franchise opportunity. I mean, you started a business in 2004. It took a while before you started offering franchises. You built up the business model, continued to improve it, came out of 2008, 2012 downturn in the economy. And from what I read in some of the press releases from All Points Public Relations, I mean, riding pretty high, riding a good growth wave that, of course, preceded getting into franchising. Tell us what you actually were thinking at the time and said, okay, we're ready to franchise, knowing that you kind of got to shift gears a little bit because you're running a day-to-day business. And now, of course, you're running a franchise organization, and obviously those are two additional wheels to the bicycle, to use your analogy there. So what were you thinking? Why franchising? What were you hoping to achieve?
Well, we looked around and we saw that growing organically is quite difficult, meaning geographically expanding to other states or other regions of the country while owning those offices and managing them is quite difficult and expensive. So we've decided that having franchisees who have vested interest in succeeding and taking ownership of their business makes a lot of sense. And we decided that the corporate office we've been generating, it's quite healthy business. Like you said, we sailed through 2008, 2009 because our industry is pretty much recession-proof, and we never felt anything while going through that time period. We actually grew quite well. We decided that we're well capitalized. We're not owned by any VC companies. We make local decisions, our own independent decision. We decided this is the road we should take, and we're still independently owned. It's owned by my wife, myself, and her brother, and that's the approach we took, and I think it's a successful, it was a good decision, I should say, that we are pursuing this track.
So you've been quoted as saying, and I think you, and earlier in the show, you mentioned this, you said, in an industry where trust is never granted and only earned, executive care has separated itself from the pack of home care companies through an unwavering commitment to ensuring our customers receive the best possible care from the most qualified caregivers. You went on to say we cannot and do not settle for anything less and ensure our franchisees receive thorough guidance on caregiver recruiting, training, and assessing. So with that in mind, give us some insight into, the initial training and the ongoing support that a franchisee can expect to get as they become an executive care franchisee.
Of course. So when franchisees come to us, many of them have never run a business. I would say 95% of them have never run a business. They always dreamt of having their own business. So the day after they sign their franchise agreement with us, that they're ready to become a franchisee, our training starts. It's a remote training. We go through the paces of understanding of what a running business is first, before we even get to home care. They need to understand the basic knowledge of finance and accounting, of setting up a business, of licensing, of other aspects of running a business. So that takes a number of months before they get into our classroom setting and learn about home care. So when they come to our training, they're ready to absorb only the home care piece of it, because by that time they should be able to understand what business is like. So our training in the office here at the headquarters takes about a week, 5 to 6 days, where we go through the paces of learning what home care is. And it's not just textbook learning. They are introduced to real-life setting because we're still operating a corporate unit, and they participate in our daily meetings. They go out with our marketers here. They participated in live caregiver interviews. They even go to clients' homes to see how clients are signed up. So a lot of it is not just textbook learning, but practical learning. And we know as adults it's hard to learn from a book. So having that demonstration is critical to learning and understanding what home care is. After they come back from the week of training, the training doesn't stop again. So we have weekly calls with them to find out what is it that they need to understand and need to know. They're taking through other aspects of training, which is built into specific modules, and our support team and our trainers continuously hold their hand until the point where they feel more comfortable in running their own business. So the support is always there, and it never ends.
Lenny, with most of your franchisees having never owned a business before, my guess would again be that you don't have a great many people starting up as multi-unit or multi-territory franchisees, but either unit operators who are operating or with tag teams of professional management in a single unit. With your growth plans, have you had any of your existing franchisees come back and say they wanted to acquire more territory? And how does that territory assignment work? Is it based on population or something other?
Very good question. So we have a couple of multi-unit operators that bought a couple of territories from the start. And then we have a couple of franchisees, a few franchisees, they came back to us and saying, look, we're doing really well. We're happy with the performance. We'd like to buy another one. And we obviously very happy to hear that. And few of them bought into additional territories. So the way our territories work, it's a population of 500,000 people in a contiguous area. On the average, we're larger than almost anybody else in our industry. Most of our competitors have between 200,000 to 300,000 people in the area. So our business model centers around people of 75 and over, not 65 and over, because people at 65 are still young people by today's measurements. Healthy, vibrant. Nobody's thinking about home care at that age. At 75, the people begin to deteriorate. I even have statistics that from CDC stating that about 10 to 12% of people 75 and over require some sort of personal care in their lives. So we're basing our model off of people 75 and over, and we find great success in those numbers.
So earlier you had mentioned about a dentist that is an absentee owner. What are you looking for? What is the background of your typical franchisee that you're looking for, both for a single unit and for potentially multi-unit operations?
So obviously they have to be well capitalized. It's what we call home care cheap, expensive business. It may sound on the surface, it may sound that the investment level is pretty low, about $150,000, between $100,000 and $150,000. But if you're doing an absentee model, that would require a lot more capital than that, because you do need to hire a savvy manager, which may come at a price, because you basically entrusting your operations to someone else. So people like the absentee, the dentist, he's well capitalized. He understands the business model. He wants to eventually stop doing dentistry and move over to home care once we show that he can make money in that business. And that's probably one of the best traits that we're looking for. But on the operator end, if it's a franchisee operator, we'd love to have for them to have management skills. That's a great trait, and there's no substitute for that.
And I would imagine that business development skills, certainly would help as well. So what kind of operation is set up? Do they set themselves up in a physical office, or there are other options?
We do require that all our franchisees have a physical office. We have certain square footage requirement, certain number of rooms, because we consider ourselves a medical home care company. So we have to comply with HIPAA regulations to make sure that no patient is discussed in an open area where others could hear. And we like it to have our trade dress, which is purple and yellow, with our insignia, logos, trademarks, to make sure that it's located in the area where it's accessible to our caregivers. No clients come to our offices. It's mostly caregivers to interview, to get assignments, collect a paycheck. But it has to be presentable. It has to be clean looking, because trademark, our trademark is very important, and our branding is very important, and we'd like to basically project that forward. We also require franchisees to have a vehicle, and it's wrapped in our colors with our logos and our trademarks, and it's another form of advertising that is very effective.
Lenny, your wife and you are still day-to-day very involved in the business, I trust, and the roles that you play are what? How do you interact every day with your franchisees?
So we definitely day-to-day. My wife is more involved with the corporate location in the home care company. I'm almost 100% involved with the franchise operations, but we do communicate quite often between the franchise and the corporate location, because our corporate location serves also as a laboratory. New services are developed, tested, and then rolled out to franchisees to make sure it's working. So it's a great testing ground for new services.
Awesome. Lenny, I can't believe how quickly this time has flown by. We don't want to let you go, though, without first giving our audience an opportunity to perhaps learn where they can meet with you. Are you going to be involved in any of the upcoming expos or any industry-type shows where those interested in learning more can meet you? And if not, can you at the very least help the audience know how best to reach out and find you and learn more about your business from you directly?
Absolutely. We will be in Philadelphia at the end of September at the Springboard event. I will be on one of the panels. I'm not sure which ones yet. I will also be in Atlanta at the Growth Conference. We'll definitely be at the IFA next year in Vegas. And I can be found at www.executivehomecare.com. And my email is Lenny, Lenny, at executivehomecare.com.
Well, I can say I, for one, am personally looking forward to seeing you then, not once, not twice, but at all three of those events. But that is not an invitation to recruit me, Lenny. I really am very happy in my present life, but I don't know. Stranger things could happen, Lenny. Who knows?
Exactly. You never know.
Well, and we can end today, Paul, the same way we started with, you just can't make it up. Who knows?
No, and you can't make that up. Lenny, I look forward to seeing you in Philadelphia. I'll be there as well, and we'll be also handling a panel again. I look forward to that event every year. So thank you for being our guest today on Franchise Today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Stan, I just saw something come across my screen again, and I think I want to reinforce what you talked about earlier about Franchise Expo West, because when it raises its flag for the first time in Denver, October 6th or 8th, many franchisors are going to find that there are visitors, not only from that area, but from across Colorado and other western states. I think there's going to be, prospects coming in from California, Arizona, Nevada, Wyoming, Nebraska, Utah, Idaho, and I imagine even from some northern parts of Texas. So I understand there is still space for exhibitors. So I highly recommend going to MFE Expos and Franchise Expo West site. But better yet, pick up the phone and call 201-881-1666 for available booth space, because from what I'm seeing on the floor plan, there are some prime locations still available, and that's going to be October 6th through 8th at the Colorado Convention Center. That's Franchise Expo West. Boy, I tell you,
I didn't
listeners today.
I didn't mention it earlier, Paul, but I actually did talk about my A to Z's of buying a franchise, but, I'll also be very, very busy at Franchise Expo West with the first ever PAFI Pro Athlete Franchise Initiative Summit being done in conjunction with MFV Expos. Proud to be tied up with MFV and having all-time great NBA player Rick Barry, who, in addition to his accomplishments on the court as an NBA player, has had his hands in the franchise business before. And Rick Barry will be joining us and sharing some of his insights and nuggets with those aspiring franchisee / twilight year / young professional athletes still playing ball but looking into ways to perhaps trade in the playbook for an ops manual someplace down the road. So we're looking forward to that as well this year in Denver, Paul, another first.
Well, that is great. Certainly I hope to get to meet Mr. Barry, number 24. I remember him back from the days as a New York Nets fan in New York at the, which was an emerging brand in and of itself, the American Basketball Association. Spent many an afternoon at Madison Square Garden, not watching a game stand, not watching a doubleheader, but actually watching triple headers from the nosebleed sections, and saw some of the great ABA players in its day. And I'll even date myself with this and say, in addition to our seat, which only costs $5 for a triple header, we actually went home with an ABA basketball. So times have definitely changed.
You called out his number, 24. Do you know the origin? A little trivia question,
Yep.
Paul, in the minutes left. Do you know why 24 was the number he chose?
Yep. Say hey, Willie Mays, basket catch, as everybody knows, or as definitely diehard basketball players know. Rick Barry shot free throws with a very, very high level of proficiency, one of the highest career percentages of free throws made, and he did it underhand. So
there it is.
Great, really great. Well, Stan,
so
we're
a couple of other.
What was it?
Oh, I was going to just say before we closed out that we'd call out the dates again for Springboard, as we just talked about it a little bit, September 21st through the 23rd at the Logan Hotel in Philadelphia. And that doesn't happen until we get back from the Franchise Action Network program and events in D.C. That begin with the Power Summit on the 12th for franchisees, the Franchising Gives Back dinner that evening, and then Franchise Action Network annual meeting on the 13th and 14th, and the trek up to Capitol Hill. So there's a whole lot coming up on the calendar right here in the next 3 or 4 weeks through September before we ever get to Denver in early October, Paul. So, yep, a lot on the radar screen as we get into silly season.
Yep. So everybody else, rest up this holiday weekend. Stan is going to be partying up in Buffalo at the Wing Festival. And Stan, you have a safe trip both ways. And I wish I could have joined you. I thank you for the invite. It just couldn't be in the cards this year for me, but I certainly look forward to one of the future ones. And everybody else in franchising, just have a safe holiday weekend.
I'll do enough of the craft beers and medium to medium hots for both of us, Paul. How's that for a promise?
I'm sure you will, and then I'll be seeing you on Facebook on Tuesday at Gold's Gym, trying to take care of the perils of the weekend.
Yeah, it's called paying penance, right?
Right. Great. Well, everybody, rest up this holiday weekend. Next week, starting on Tuesday, you're going to see a lot of information coming across, a lot of promotion on our interview with IFA chairperson Aziz Hashim. Have a great holiday weekend until next week. My name is Paul Segreto, wishing you the best from Stan and I in this very great thing we call franchising. Franchise Today is out. Hey, so have yourself a safe trip. Yeah, have yourself a safe trip. From? Excellent. Awesome. Well, good. I'm sorry if I overstepped my bounds in promoting FRM. Well, I am going to, especially since a couple of weeks ago when they talked about, well, we got this, we got that, and there's no reason why we can't promote. I like how you changed up FRM in the mid break. Good. Right. Absolutely. So, all right, Stan. I totally. Well, if somebody truly wants the most effective franchise connection, it's FRM Solutions. Stan Connect. I love it. Oh, Stan, no. All right, be good. Bye-bye.
When it's PCS time, you know the drill. Pack, research the new base, get the kids in school, because family supports family. At American Public University, we support military families with flexible, affordable online education that moves with you. As a military spouse, your tuition rate is the same as your partner's, just $250 per credit hour. American Public University, education that moves with you. Learn more at apu.apus.edu/military.